everyone, and welcome to the VR Download. My name is David, Senior Editor at Upload, and I am joined by the rest of my wonderful team. Let's start with introductions over on my left.
What do you mean, your team?
It's my team. I'm the host.
He's the main guy.
No, I already don't like this episode. I feel
It's
like
my
I should have been the host. No, I think I might log off, actually. See you guys later. Hi, I'm Jamie. I do UK things. Tip, tip, tally ho.
I'm Tatiana, and I do not UK things.
Yeah. Ian Hamilton here. I'm managing editor, better than main guy.
Still just a member of my team.
Yeah.
Yikes.
All right. And I'm Harry, news writer and community moderator from Australia. So g'day from down under, I guess.
Shrimp
if
on the
we're
Barbie.
playing into that. No, not
Harry.
shrimp on the Barbie. I won't go that far. That's one step too far.
Harry,
That's just...
are you going to buy tickets to Green Day's Hella Mega Tour in Australia that was just announced today?
You know, that was the best thing about waking up at 4 a.m. this morning for this, because I saw that and I was like, ooh, baby. Ooh,
I was
baby.
contemplating flying over to you just for it.
Yeah, come. You should come.
All right.
I think that's a thing.
Hella
Can
Mega
have
Tour.
Vegemite.
All right,
Yeah.
It's time to rein this in here. My team, we got to focus. All right. So I am the not the typical host. Usually our host is Kyle, but he was booted out of this episode. Long story, politics. Anyway, I'm the host now. Let's just go ahead and let's get started, team. My team, we're going to go ahead and jump into the news discussion. First is the VR on Steam is surging right now to an all-time high. 1.3% of all Steam users are now using VR, and a lot of that is driven by the Oculus Rift S, which had a big growth after they corrected their hardware survey. But currently, the Quest actually isn't showing up, even if you connect it over Link, which is interesting. It isn't counting as a Rift S or anything. So what do you guys think about the VR news?
All right, yeah. So the numbers are going up. Yeah, 1.3% doesn't sound like a lot, right? It's not a big percentage of overall Steam users. And the problem there is, if you don't have a really solid number of the overall Steam users, you can't really make a guess as to how many millions of users that is using VR on a regular basis.
And there's also the tricky bit of only a fraction of Steam users even take that survey. So like, what does that actually
tell us? It's supposed to be representative, right? Is it large enough to be a representative sample?
I don't know.
I don't even know if I do it. Like, do you have to opt in?
Yeah, you have to. It asks you, and you have to go through some steps.
I have no idea.
Yes, I would do the survey, and then
I usually dismiss it every time I see it.
Yeah, it comes up every time. It's not like you set it to automatically run. It comes up, and then it's like, would you like to do it? And you're like, yes, and then it shows what's on your system, and you go, yes, that's what I have, and then you kind of submit that. So it is like a process you have to go through. It's not automatic.
Somewhere in Menlo Park.
Did this news drop on a Tuesday?
Ooh,
it drops. So the Steam hardware survey updates 2 or 3 days into the new month, so it would have hit over the weekend actually, I think.
Okay, never mind. I'll explain later.
I like to imagine that
mysterious.
Somewhere in a warehouse, Mark Zuckerberg has bought a warehouse where just thousands of people are logging into Steam on their Rift S before they ship it off.
It's like every Facebook customer service center has a Rift S plugged in with Steam running just purely so when the hardware survey thing comes up, they're like, yes. They go through basic training. They're like, and when it asks you about the hardware survey, you just go, yes, don't ask questions.
Do it.
But yes.
Game's over. Game over. Rift
good growth, yeah. I mean, we want to see those numbers grow big, but it's like we don't know how big it is, and without Quest in there, it's tough. All right, we want to make sure Quest is in there.
Because we did think briefly, or there was discussion as to whether Quests that were plugged in via Link were showing up as Rifts, and now they've come out and said that's not the case. So it definitely is that Rift S growth is Rift S's. It's not people plugging in Quests appearing as Rift S's.
Yeah, I've reached out to Valve to try to confirm that, because we've seen a couple of reports on Reddit and people suggesting that but we can't really trust those screenshots necessarily. So we're trying to confirm it directly with Valve.
There's literal forum comments from Steam employees too. It's not just Reddit.
It still ends up being a screenshot that we got to verify.
If you go look at it yourself, I mean, I've seen the forum post.
You saw the forum post. Okay, that's all I care about.
Yeah.
I didn't see the forum post. All I saw was the screenshot.
No, I went.
Well,
and
I think
found
it's
it.
safe. It's pretty safe to
Good for you.
assume that it's probably not counting as. Doesn't it seem to be counting as a Rift S if you plug in Link? So yeah,
Right.
We have comments.
We have someone named Scott Huey who just found this channel and is picking
Scotty
up
boy.
a quest today, and
Hey.
they're
Hello,
finally
Scott.
getting into
Congratulations.
VR.
Where?
Scott, where did you find
What
it,
do you
man?
mean?
Where
Oh,
did
yeah,
you find
where-
the quest?
yeah.
Oh,
Where'd you
Jesus.
find it, Scott?
What sorcery is this?
Scott,
Dark
where,
magic?
where is it?
I did see some people commenting
Maybe
on,
he's
on
Australian,
articles
I don't know.
yesterday. Yeah, Australia actually has survived the Quest out of stock stuff pretty well throughout everything. Like whenever I check it, it's only ever like a week max, even when it was like much longer. So I don't know what it is about us, but you also
Kev-
can't buy it physically anywhere here. Go on.
I was like, Kev Gret, I have no idea why my lips aren't moving. It has been a predicament for like the last month and a half. I don't know.
Yeah,
I wish my lips
weird one.
moved too.
I think the Oculus Avatar system can only handle either bright hair or lips, so you kind of made your choice.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other
Scott,
comments?
where's the quest? I'm dying to know where he got this quest.
I've seen some people commenting on our post too that they've found like random ones in shops in places in America, like some place they've been like. I remember someone commented on our like recent one news article saying it was out of stock, being like, "No, I found like a 128 gigabyte one in the store here that's like was some remote place in the middle of nowhere." So they're still
this,
around.
This
I guess
was a
if you can buy them
perfect
physically.
segue because our next news topic is the Quest is
There
out
we
of
go.
stock in North America.
I have the
Yeah.
answer. He
Oh, the
found the
answer?
quest at a local Walmart in Columbia, Maryland.
go.
He lives in
Yeah.
Baltimore, which is
Wow.
about 20 minutes away.
There
Why
you
doesn't
go.
my,
There you go.
All right,
why
you heard
doesn't
it,
my
everyone.
Walmart
Get in the
carry
car.
Quest? It's brutal.
What?
Well, because
Going
your
Because you live
VR
in-
arcade went out of business. That's why.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh,
Yeah.
You also live in,
Rest in peace.
Did you ever go there?
I don't know, the fourth
I
circle
went
of hell.
there. I went once when I heard that they were opening to say, "Hey, I'm a local VR reporter. Have you heard of our website?" And they're like, "Yeah, I've heard of your website." And I was like, "Yeah, I'll come back in." And I went in once, and it's
That
Nice.
entire
Down.
exchange just 30 seconds.
It's your fault.
yeah.
Yeah, you were their
You-
hypothetical best customer.
Hypothetically, yeah. Well, I've got the Index at home, and they've got original Vives, and they had the nice cable management system, so that it was the cord was out
the
of the way
pulley,
going over
yeah.
the head. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Those are the real ones. You
That's
know
where they
mean business
splurged.
then.
Yeah.
I am not on a Quest, Greg. I'm actually on a Rift S. And I have a Astro A40 hooked up to the Rift S.
None of us are on Quest yet because Oculus Link
Uh,
doesn't support them.
Well,
like
no,
that yet.
Excuse me.
No.
Excuse you.
Harry over there is on
Speaking
Quest.
a bit too soon.
Wait,
dog.
what? How are you doing that?
He's
Link.
in
How am I doing
Australia. It's
what?
upside down. It's,
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
No. It's what you mean. Talk about the microphone.
Yeah.
Because I'm using a desktop microphone. I'm using my computer's. I've got a mic on my
Oh.
desk,
Alright.
not the
That makes more sense.
the mic doesn't work with Link for the Quest.
You get the Nobel
native
Prize in
design.
VR this year. Well done.
There we go. Yeah.
We
Correct.
almost had the complete Oculus family on this podcast. We almost had Go, Rift S, and Quest, but
This is
our,
somehow gonna
no
segue.
Love, no love for
Gear
OG
VR.
Rift.
yeah, that's true. Well, I
Wow.
did an
Wow.
OG. Was it an OG Rift? We've had people in our interviews because the mic is really nice on the OG Rift.
I've
'cause-
done it
That's true.
once.
Yeah.
Whereas
yeah.
we all sound like tin
And
men.
there was growth on the OG Rift in the survey too, like very slight, which I think in the article Heaney said was probably people selling them on eBay because they're passing them on.
Mm.
Because people still prefer to buy them, right? People get really into buying the OG Rift over a Rift S. I know some people.
Well, yeah,
are
it's
like,
got
no.
the
External
IPD adjustment.
tracking.
Yeah,
external
yeah,
tracking too
true.
can be better.
Yeah.
It does
So,
also
I
try
mean,
and cut into your forehead.
Is the Quest always constantly being out of stock? Do we think that's a good thing? Because I know my
No.
nephew, he bought a Quest over the holidays with his Christmas money, and he just got it like a week ago.
Mm.
No.
So
That's rough.
I'm gonna say it's not a good thing. Like
Yeah.
it's also a different Scott. We're gonna call them Scott 2. Their mate
Ooh.
bought a 64 gigabyte in Canada on Amazon, but like what you just said is exactly why it isn't good. It's literally been sold out since before Christmas, and
Yeah.
it's been the back order just keeps pushing and pushing and pushing. Like I'm very curious, like why inventory is just so slow.
And now it's
do
slightly
we think
different,
they're
right?
they're legitimately having trouble keeping up with demand, or is it artificially injecting, the perception
Yeah,
of
making
it
it
selling better
making it
than
seem
it is?
like it's.
I think it's
I feel like-
either.
I feel like if it was the artificial thing, now I was kind of a believer in that theory like a month or two ago, but I also feel like part of that theory is that, or part of that kind of marketing move is then you say, okay, but there's like 50 in this store, so go now, and it just has you haven't been able to get it right, so unless you're called Scott, apparently.
I think it's a manufacturing issue. I genuinely, because of just working in retail for so long with tech and just like looking at things, I genuinely think it's like a manufacturing issue that they're trying to hide, because this is just absurd. I worked at GameStop for the PlayStation 4 launch, and the Switch, or not, no, I wasn't there for Switch launch, but like like the Wii U and a little bit like right after the Wii, and it's something's not really right with
Wasn't the Wii
with
was
something.
the Wii the artificial thing where it was like everyone was
Nintendo
going, it
does
was like
it with
rushing out to
games,
find
too.
the
They still do
rushing
it.
out to find the Wii who had Wii's and
Nintendo does
stuff.
it with pretty much everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, no,
Amiibos,
that was
like the
Amiibos.
Disney game.
Yeah.
And Amiibos are worthless now too.
Yep. With the Quest being out of stock though, wasn't this time different? Because on previously it would let you like buy it and say, oh, it's going to dispatch in a month's time or
It
whatever.
just had
Whereas
a
now it's
far
just
out ship date,
unavailable.
but now it's
Now
just
it just says
totally out of
unavailable.
stock.
Yeah.
You actually can't order it, so that's definitely a.
Again, I've reached out to Facebook twice on this one to try to figure out why. Because first it was just, can you say something about demand and availability of the headset? And then second time, we've heard some theories in our comments shared, asking whether it's related to the virus causing issues. Yeah, I don't want to create
the virus
panic
that shall
just
not
by
be
bringing it
named.
up. Yeah, but I'm sort of pushing Facebook to try to see if they can.
Have they responded at all? Like, have they said, "Oh, we'll get back to you soon" or anything?
They got me.
No,
they got back to me on a different subject the minute before we came on live here, and maybe we'll get into it later in the show. But
a totally different email thread.
Yeah, separate email thread.
Same people.
Yeah,
Classic.
it's all Facebook PR.
Classic. Anyway, so which headset did you say you're using? Because you're not on a Rift Test, right?
No, I've only got a Quest, so it's via Link. But it's just the
via Link. You know what that sounds like? That sounds like the Link's R1 headset. Similar sounding word. Look at that
come on.
Look at that segue.
Okay.
He set it
It's
up.
a new
he
standalone pass-through AR headset for $1,500 that uses the Snapdragon XR2 chip, has 1600 by 1600 90 Hz LCD cameras, hand tracking for input, targeted at professionals. It'll eventually be available to anyone. What do we think about this new headset?
AR pass-through. Professionals? Like when they say professionals, it's not enterprise. Do they mean enterprise? But they say professionals. Like what?
It could be a translation issue. Maybe they probably mean enterprise.
Yeah.
I guess.
I think the thing we went down on is it's like the HTC Vive Pro, where really it's intended for businesses, but they're not going to stop just anyone that wants to buy it because they're going to hand over $1,500.
Yeah, right.
Which is
Other Scott. Other Scott asked you, Harry, if you've increased the resolution on the Quest yet.
I have not.
That hack? Yeah.
No, I haven't. But I should try that. That's a good point.
What's your card?
It's got a
1080.
1080. It's a TI, isn't it?
No, just a non TI 1080. Yeah, but I should try that. That's a good point. I haven't tried that yet.
What does Scott 3 say?
Wait, Scott 3.
I'm just kidding. Oh, God, are there more?
He's joining us from inside the Quest right now.
I would say, Warren, I think Nintendo scarcity is confirmed. I don't think it's a conspiracy theory anymore. I genuinely think it has been.
I've seen it happen quite a lot.
They talked about it in Console Wars, which is entirely accurate and not, exaggerated at all. So, Blake Harris, I think Perrin, what's her name? Perrin, I can't remember her last name. Perrin Kaplan. She used to be head of PR at Nintendo, and I'm pretty sure in the book she mentioned that they did that on purpose. Like I think that was like an actual strategy that she was quoted as talking about.
They were talking about that on Twitter. Yeah,
I think they'll probably do that with the Lynx headset as well once that starts flying off shelves, because that's sure to happen. I'm being sarcastic just in case anyone can tell. Not that it necessarily looks like a bad device.
Hey, Scott Huey is a new member. New Scott is.
Look at that.
Officially new Scott.
Look at that, Scotty boy. Thank you, buddy, for the monetary contribution and support. That means you're our new #1 fan. In addition to Dominique, who is one of our other members.
Dominique.
Good stuff. You get access to really cool emotes now in the chat. You can do like an upload badge and cool little emotes. So, congrats.
Is Scott 2 going to join in? Scott 2 feels obliged now.
All the Scots.
Yeah. This is how it starts.
Yep, there it is.
The revolution.
Yeah.
I do have blue hair in real life.
I
actually,
believe
right
we
now.
will-
Yes, Eric.
I thought it was purple, or did you change it?
Well, I changed it. It's like blue, and then it has like purple in it.
Oh, okay. I think we're gonna get to try the Lynx at GDC. They said so. We'll get to try that AR pass-through headset. I'm wondering. I mean, do we think like having lenses and cameras that are like high quality pass-through, is that, I guess that's kind of the future idea, right, for these headsets? You don't have to take it off as much. And I mean, is that
Yeah.
where we think VR is going to head towards as well, like having the adaptability to switch between the two?
They showed Questoff doing that like 2 Oculus Connects ago, right?
Yeah,
like, just
that
as they announced
virtual
it
workspace
officially.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah. It was
That was last
Bose
Connect,
or
wasn't it?
Boz or however you say it. And that was pass through, right, Ian? That was.
I think so. Yeah, that's the end goal that Abrash at Facebook. So Michael Abrash, their sort of head of research and development long term, has more or less been pitching this merged workspace where you can transition between AR and VR really easily, or transition between real world and virtual world, and have all of the benefits of your local environment plus the benefits of being able to collapse space and have other things brought in. And
it's kind of this tricky middle ground we have to reach where the technology is convincing enough and high quality enough that our eyes don't mind it, but also the headsets are light enough and small enough that our heads don't mind wearing them for extended periods, which I think it's going to be a while before we get to that middle ground that's ideal.
So if anyone at Facebook is watching, this is the reason we need the varifocal demo. We need to try Half Dome or some version of whatever their current varifocal tech is to really get a feel for the benefits of having multifocal distance and being able to focus on this thing up close completely naturally, and then point my eye over there and look at the thing over there far away and have my eyes focus exactly like they do in the real world. Because without having that, it's hard to tell sort of what the path is for VR and pass-through and all those things. Because with the see-through AR optics, you get to do that naturally. You get to focus at all the distances on all the real-world content. And then the digital content is represented at a couple or maybe just one focal plane. And we really need to have that varifocal, multifocal VR demo. I only had that one at CES last year, and it was interesting, but you could hear the motors whirring inside the headset as it tried to change the optics.
That's a cool word, varifocal.
Scott 2 has given us £3. #Scots stick together.
There we go.
Which of the two Scots has tried Half Dome? I want to know. I feel like both of them have probably.
Well, one Scott. Well, new Scott is getting his Quest today. This is his first VR.
But what about Half Dome? I feel like they both tried it.
I
feel like they both found it
before
Wait,
us.
is this a reference
they found it
that I haven't?
on Walmart, I think.
Jamie's just referencing the fact that only Scots can find the new headsets.
Yes.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah,
that's true.
They've also played
Has
Half-Life
anyone?
Alex.
Well, which movie is that Scotty doesn't know song from? Is that
Euro Trip?
Euro Trip.
Or Road
Scott,
Trip?
Scott Pilgrim
No.
versus the World.
No, it's Euro
Is that the
Trip.
first
Euro Trip.
example of Matt Damon popping up out of nowhere? Because he does that so often in movies.
It's true.
It's incredible.
His appearance in Interstellar blew my mind. I had no
Oh
idea
my
he was
gosh,
in that movie.
yes.
Jesus. Sorry, spoiler, I guess. But
If you haven't seen it by
Yeah,
now,
good
shame
warning
on you.
there, bud.
yeah, my bad. My bad. # let David not host.
# not your team. # not my
Hashtag
host.
not my host.
Hashtag not my host. That's brilliant. So, and is anyone actually excited for Link, or Lynx or whatever it's called? I feel like
Yeah,
I'm interested
LYNX
to check it
Lynx.
out. I feel like if AR is the thing it does best, it's a really strange form factor to release a 1,500 headset on, because it's not radically cheaper than a HoloLens or a Magic Leap, right?
I'm genuinely excited about it just because it looks like a completely different optical design. Just from wanting to know what an alternative design can provide the eyes. I want to get that feel.
So this is like 2014 interested in VR Ian speaking, that you're interested in like the technology behind it, but 2020 consumer VR, consumer AR Ian is like, eh.
Yeah,
is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
Okay.
You got it. You know me.
And it's just so expensive.
I know you because you're on my team. You see that right there? There it is. There it is. Any other comments? Any other Scots? Do we have any other Scotty boys?
Shangalus asked, "Will the Rift S get hand tracking?" The Quest is getting. That's a great question. I wish I
Yeah.
could
They
haven't
answer
said
my
no,
question
right?
too.
They
No?
haven't said no.
They
I don't
always
think.
say they're like gonna refine it and perfect it on Quest before doing anything with Rift
It's
S.
sort of like a non-answer when we ask that sort of question. It's like, meh. It's
Yeah.
like, it's like the PR equivalent. Meh.
They might as well.
I always kind of felt like it should have been the reverse, right? Isn't the PC supposed to be the experimental platform, and then Quest is the polished platform?
No, that changed, right? I mean,
It
it's.
seems
Yeah, I
like
feel
it,
like-
yeah.
But that's so.
Unless they want to deny a game, then it hasn't changed.
So I thought it was mind blowing at OC6 when we were
Scott
expecting
gave us
hand tracking.
$2. New Scott
Hey,
gave us
thanks,
$2.
Thank you.
Hashtag Scott
So-
stick together forever.
Oh wow!
This is
So-
Scott 1 or this is a Scott 3?
No,
This is-
Scots
this is
turn
new
on each
Scott.
other, outbid each other.
Like new VR Scott. We're calling him new Scott.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Make sure we should drop the best Quest game list for Scott if you can find that. Heaney.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Ooh.
Or
Get them the best
and
Quest
the
games.
FAQ, like the beginner VR
Yeah, the
FAQ
beginner-
article.
beginner,
that-
yeah.
We have our
And
good
we
list
have-
of accessories.
and we have the shopping guide that has accessories
Yeah.
and stuff. We've got all your Quest needs covered at uploadvr.com.
You can
Right there.
also just Google search the best Quest games because we're at the top of the SEO, and now I'm just gonna
That's
brush my
Hey-o.
shoulders like this.
Don't invite the
Ooh.
competition to.
Ooh.
No,
Hey-o.
actually,
What
Navy did one
competition?
today, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh. No, what
That's
I was
my
going to say
question.
is the day before OC6, there were some sort of hints that maybe hand tracking might come, and
Yep.
we were just all expecting it had to be on PC, and then boom, this hand tracking is actually on Quest, and it kind of blew our
Boom,
minds.
here's a dragon
surprised us.
vomiting in your face, Ian. On Quest. Boom.
That's right. I tickled the dragon. And
Is
it
that a
vomited right
euphemism
in
or is
my
that like
hands.
you literally tickled a
No,
dragon?
he literally tickled a dragon.
Okay. Just
I
want
I
to make
really,
sure.
really hope it has
Is
a
that-
euphemism because it vomited followed after that. So.
Are we ever getting that? What was that demo? Like, is that something that they're going to release at some point?
So I saw it again at CES. I went in. So the first time I tried that, I was so focused on just trying to test the hand tracking and how you could include everything. I wanted to go back and try everything in it. It's called Elixir. I think it's built by, I can't remember the name of the company, Los Angeles-based company that does a lot of really great stuff. But I basically put Facebook on the spot and said, are you going to release this as sort of like an introduction? And they're like, well, meh.
So
give me that answer
weird that
again.
they wouldn't. It was featured in the trailer for hand tracking as well.
They
that they showed.
basically
like,
said it was a tech demo for OC6. That was the way they phrased it. So I
Cowards.
wouldn't
Probably
leave it
not.
out of the
like in a
realm of
world where they
possibility.
release First Contact and First Steps,
Yeah.
why would they not release that as like First Touch?
Maybe.
Yeah,
I
that
mean,
would
I
just
guess
be-
if they're going to, I guess they won't actually release it till it's considered non-experimental.
I'm
True.
extremely excited
True.
for the we've got that Waltz of the Wizard
Yeah.
tech demo that
Yeah, that
we've
looks
got on
really
our
cool.
channel, and that's incredible. It looks so much fun where you can snap your fingers to make things happen, and it looks so cool. But it's just a tech demo.
Now
hopefully-
I actually want to try Waltz of the Wizard. I've never tried it.
I think
That's
like
fun.
Magic is one of those
It's very
things that I
job
didn't.
simulator like, but all
Yeah.
wizard themed. Yeah.
Wizard things. I feel like the
Wizard
wizard theme is
simulator.
something that I didn't think of, but would work quite well for hand. Like I'm always thinking slow puzzle games would be the best because there's not much kind of movement involved. But the kind of clicking stuff and the, making potions and doing that kind of stuff would actually work really well with the hand tracking as
I-
well because it's not quite fast
But
paced.
can we
I
just
wanna-
get a Harry Potter, like a good Harry Potter VR game like that? I've wanted
You're
that
asking
ever.
for too
Harry-
much.
No,
Yeah.
that's rubbish. I
Harry-
want a
Harry
hand
Potter
tracking
died.
ET game where you just go around and just kill people.
Just
And it could be made by
Killing
Peter
people with
Molyneux.
your finger.
Or
Oh,
like-
that would be so beautiful.
Or you could do
E.T.
like the
walking the
Arrested
streets of World War III.
Development thing and just like reenact the Michelangelo thing, like in Arrested Development.
Yeah,
yeah, it's like
yeah.
put
Your
your finger in
Oculus
this position to
avatars.
match the
The possibilities
painting.
are quite literally endless. I think as we have determined here.
Come for the VR news. Stay for the intelligent VR design
the
discussion.
Michelangelo VR painting
Yeah.
matching.
Yeah, I
discussions.
want to give a shout out to my team here and say that we have effortlessly segued between all of the news topics without me having to actually do any transition. So, kudos to
Beautiful.
everyone on that. It
You
was
just
extremely
ruined
well
the
done.
immersion.
You
No, it was
really dug a
I
hole for
wanted
the
to
next one.
highlight the
Yeah, I was gonna say
orchestration
that.
here.
But
Yeah.
the show's not done
And
yet.
I just
Which
I want
leads-
to
Get out of the chair.
to
Get out of
you
the chair. Let me
guys.
sit.
I mean,
leads
Heaney, switches
into-
over, please.
Which leads into
and thank you and shout out to everyone in big
No, he's
screen
not
that's
gonna.
watching. If
Yeah.
you're not watching in VR, you could be watching in big screen right now, sitting on a couch or a sofa with your buddies, watching a big screen TV in your headset, enjoying the show from VR. If you would like to do that, you can.
Kyle
But
could
yeah.
go in there and watch us.
He could.
Maybe he
I think
is.
he's in
He
chat.
could.
He is in chat.
there we go.
Hi,
Yeah,
Kyle.
he's chatting it up. He's
Greg's
chatting it
VR said that the possible killer app for Quest hand tracking is PokerStars VR. I never really thought of that.
Ooh.
Yeah, I have thought of that too. Yeah, that'd be really
if you
cool.
could actually like flip the coin the chips between your fingers like they do on like the professional stuff, that would
I
be
feel like
sick.
you might be asking for a bit too much there.
That's quite
I feel like
ambitious.
I'm
I
like-
still
like-
wonder.
That is the next tier. That's what I want next.
Yeah,
are
right
you
there.
going to get banned and kicked from those experiences for giving the middle finger? Because it just seems like it's as soon as that's activated in social, there's going to be so many middle fingers.
Yeah, but surely they're
True.
just going to then cut off your finger.
Just not have a middle
That's a
finger.
good solution.
Yeah, then Zuckerberg appears with a cleaver and he's like, "No, you had your chance." Bang! Straight on the Poker VR
Lost middle
table.
finger privileges.
Is that
And
the
then
solution
somehow,
in
even though it's still,
Horizon?
like,
That's what'll
original Quest
happen.
tracking, you still cut your hand off and you're like, "Ah!" in the middle
So
of
will
Quest VR.
he descend from the skies like Heaney got, or will he like erupt
just
from
like a real
lava in the
casino.
earth and then cut your finger off?
Oh,
Which
he'll
one is it gonna
erupt
be?
from lava, like straight up
Okay.
like Wesker style. Just
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
James called you a thorough journalist.
Hey,
Thank you.
we
What
love
about the
that.
rest of us, James?
James
got me
doesn't
on-
care about us.
Was that James
I don't care.
McLaughlin?
I don't care
O'Loughlin,
what
yeah.
James
Yeah,
thinks.
yeah, O'Loughlin.
I
Sorry.
only care what the two Scots think, and they think that the rest of us are great. I know they do.
They think we're worth money.
Yeah.
I'm worth money, everyone. Anyway,
And Greg's VR makes a good point that index players can already flip the bird in PokerStars. 'cause,
There you
you know,
go.
Ah,
oh, okay.
true.
And
Do they
as
moderate
Harry
that?
and I saw yesterday, we were playing Zero Caliber live on stream, and
Yeah.
you can flip people off in that.
But
So
it's a bit
there you
more
go.
random because you have to cycle through like hand motions, so it's not like you can pick to do it. You just press
And
like the
So what
Blood
if
it's
you
and
like
could?
a thumbs up.
You can flip people off in Blood and Truth.
It's
But yeah, you just flick through it, which is really rude. I mean, what if you do it
Yeah.
by accident?
Sometimes you want to give your teammate a thumbs up and you give them the finger.
Yeah,
It's just
and
how
you're
it
just like,
goes.
"Good
It's
job, pal."
it's a real mixed bag.
Yeah.
Adam Hartzell says, shout out to Jamie for helping get Crunch Element kickstarted. Iron Lights also hit its goal.
Hey,
yeah.
Oh, cool.
oh,
Thank
that's
you
good.
very
Iron
much.
Lights. I just
Yeah,
heard
no,
that.
no,
Iron Lights, that's
Crunch
good.
Element. I'm really glad that past Kickstarter looks really, really good.
And Iron
hoping that-
Lights. I'm excited for that
Yeah,
one.
that looks good too. That looks
Yeah.
pretty cool.
For those
And
unaware, can you talk
wonderful
about what Crunch
101.
Element is, just as a quick like summary of what that one is for people that don't
Crunch.
know?
So Crunch Element is a first-person shooter infiltration VR game where you go into sandbox-style levels and you have explosive charges and you can blow up any wall in the game. Pick your best point to breach and clear. Come in, kill all the bad guys. Feel like a badass.
Yeah, we had that featured in the Holiday VR Showcase, and we're
No.
doing another showcase for E3 this year. So you should get ready,
No.
get hyped. We'll talk about that
Get
more
excited.
later. But yeah, so
Will
I
we?
think next up we're going to move on to the next section, which is releases of the week. I believe there is a cool animation playing right now. I'm gonna wait for that to finish. I'm gonna keep waving my hands,
There you
and
go.
there it is. What releases are there this week? I actually don't know of any
Ooh.
notable ones.
Am I allowed to say it? Oh,
I
Oh,
Pistol
think
Whip
you're allowed
song.
to say
sake.
it.
New Pistol Whip song.
There it is.
Oh,
there
there
it
we
is.
go.
The Pistol Whip mention.
Ian has
They tick
hard
it off
mode
when you upload
gameplay
VR bingo.
right
Yeah.
here.
0 days since Ian has mentioned Pistol Whip.
Yeah.
Yeah, reset the
Little-
clock.
Little sign on the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah,
reset
so
the clock.
it's called Akuma. I think it's Japanese. I have no idea what the lyrics are. In
Is
the,
it related
in the
to
song.
Street Fighter?
They said it was inspired by. Well, the
Beat Saber's
level
latest
map
update.
was inspired by sort of Akira and stuff. Very intense level. Very fun.
Did that
12th
just
song.
come
Like-
out like
It's like neon
when you
colors,
started,
right? Like kind of.
Very bright. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
And you have
so
gameplay
it's-
here on our YouTube channel, right here.
Yeah,
on
so I've got the
Upload VR.
hard song if you want to go check out. That's their 12th song. It's a free update. And they're basically announcing that monthly, going forward, they're going to have a new free song in that game each month. I think that
Gotcha.
was, in my review, I loved it, but 10 songs and all in the same musical style would be the thing most people would look at and go, that's not enough for me. I need something. I need variety. I need something
That's by
different.
far what I've seen people say the most. Like,
Yeah.
whenever I read about Pistol Whip, it's either people love it or they're like, no, I was burnt out. I played through it in like 10 seconds. There's no more songs. There's not enough variety. I feel like it's
But
a
I
real,
mean,
yeah.
It's hard for me to believe those people didn't, got burnt out before going into Deadeye mode. Like, Deadeye
Yeah.
mode is the
Hashtag-
thing that hooks me.
Hashtag get good.
Yeah.
And also,
Yeah.
let's keep in mind too, Beat Saber and Audica both also launched with 10 songs originally. So it just takes time.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want Rebecca Black Friday.
Yes.
Oh god, I forgot that existed.
Oh,
Have you
why
guys
don't you
ever
remind me?
watched the remix of it where it's like slowed down like 20
I'm
times?
sure. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
It
I've
is
seen that.
terrifying.
It is
Why are we talking
terrifying.
about this?
Yeah.
Can we move on?
Friday.
Well, so Harry has been playing something this week that's not new, but I'm actually really,
Yeah.
really interested in what Harry's playing. I want to check it out too. Harry,
It's
tell us all
quite
about it.
cool. So it's called Hello Puppets. It came out, I think it was just before Christmas. It was in December, but there wasn't a whole lot. We didn't see a whole lot about it, and the developer recently emailed us because they're trying to kind of talk to some people about it now that they've. I think they said development kind of got pushed over, and they weren't able to do as much kind of marketing beforehand as they wanted to. But it's called Hello Puppets. It's on PC VR. It's really quite cool. I played about 40 minutes, the opening 40 minutes of it yesterday.
Well, it's only on Oculus Home, right? It's not on Steam.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it on Steam?
Yeah,
It's
oh,
fun.
okay. I thought it was.
I think it's backed by Facebook.
Okay.
So.
It's
Okay.
a
So
studios
it's on
project,
Oculus.
I think. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, but basically, the premise is that you're in like this abandoned warehouse with all these puppets that have come to life, and there's some. I think it's a creepy woman that owns the puppets. The story is I'm a bit unclear on the story. Basically, you choose a little puppet. There's a really creepy puppet man that talks to you. You choose a puppet of your own. You like put it on your left hand, and it comes to life and acts as like a guide as your. And the idea is the
Cool
puppets are
idea.
meant to. It's really quite
That's
creepy, and the puppets are
cool.
meant to. But the whole premise is the puppets, when they go on someone's hand, are meant to like take over the human, and the human becomes like a zombie that the puppet controls.
Oh.
But the puppet kind of goes like, oh no, like you're still alive, like, and you have to work with the puppet and pretend like the puppet is taking control
that's
of
such
you.
a cool idea.
It's really cool.
That's
So
really
the whole
neat.
thing is like you're trying to do like little puzzles and things, and you have to use the puppet, and the puppet tells you, like, you put the puppet in a window where you can't see, and it screams things at you, and then you compress things to like coordinate with the talking puppet.
That's cool.
It's really cool. And if you move your hand around, the puppet like turns to like look at you, and so it's all very kind of dynamic and cool. It's
I
a
love
cool
the
mechanic.
description. In the description for the game on Rift, it actually says something like it's a haunted Sesame Street character or something. It's really funny.
That's what it feels like. Yeah, very haunted Sesame Street vibes.
The interesting thing is when they first got in contact with us about it, I almost wondered if it was like a sequel to Puppet Fever. You know, do I mean Puppet Fever?
Yeah,
the
Puppet
kind of-
Fever is the right name. Yeah, I think.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, the one where you're doing like charades with like finger puppets.
Yeah.
Which was not a great thing to be confusing it with, because I almost like half hesitated about clicking it, and then when I did, I was very glad I checked it out. But
Yeah.
could
Any
be
comments?
better marketing.
Scott too asked, after Alex comes and goes, do we have a list of up and coming AAA VR games other than Medal of Honor for 2020?
Oh,
I
Lone
think
Echo
we-
2.
AAA.
We have a list that we're probably going to put out eventually, right? I don't think we've put it out.
No,
yet.
we've got lists of games we know. Every game we know is coming to every headset individual list. So that's definitely one to check out. But one I'd straight away point to is Lone Echo 2. That's going to be a big
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, for sure.
Iron Man VR is
Servios
coming on
has-
PlayStation VR.
Servios has a new Walking Dead game that was delayed. It was supposed to come out in fall, and then I think they saw Saints and Sinners and were like, "Oh crap!"
Potentially, we
yeah.
don't know that for sure, but there's that potential. That's
That's
what
my theory.
happened.
My theory. Yeah.
Yeah. Fair enough. It's a fair theory.
Yeah.
AAA is a tough marker in VR, right? We don't have many games reaching that sort of threshold of like more than a dozen people working on the game and really putting that production value in it. So it isn't a large. After the fall, we could
Oh,
call that
yeah.
one. That would be.
After
Oh,
the
that's a
fall,
very good one.
Lo-fi. It looks
Can you
impressive.
call? I mean, that's I guess so.
Oh, did
It's
he
a small
specifically ask
development
about
team, right?
AAA? I thought he just
Yeah,
meant-
AAA. Yeah, AAA.
Oh, my bad. I thought he just meant big games in general. I guess one thing I would say is that it seems like every year there's always one or two non-VR games that get ported that we don't know about
Yep.
until they're about to release.
Until they hit.
So you had like Skyrim, Fallout, Borderlands,
But it's definitely not Cyberpunk.
No Man's Sky.
No Man's Sky. Yeah.
But that
Definitely
won't be
not
Cyberpunk.
Cyberpunk.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
one
they
you
don't
can
seem
rule out
interested
being
at
the
all, which
surprise.
is
No,
unfortunate.
yeah.
And
But talking about AAA studios,
no, you already
might
made
be
the good
a-
segue. Okay.
might be
Horizon
a
Zero Dawn.
okay, yeah.
Balthazar says, "Hello, I'm around. If Ian wants to talk about arena scale VR on Quest,
Mm.
he knows what I'm talking about."
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's get into it. So I'm working on a story. Should go up in the next few hours. That looks at some of these arena scale Quest experiences. And for those that are unfamiliar, the situation here is that at OC5 a year and a half ago, Facebook showed Dead and Buried in an arena scale setting. So they had 2 teams of 3 players in the same space,
It was so
and
cool.
the only VR equipment that they were using to power the entire thing were the headsets on their heads and the Oculus Touch controllers in their hands. And it was a huge deal to show this tech demo. It was a mind-blowing thing to see this done in the year 2018, because right across from it at this same venue, they had the Void set up, and the Void uses backpacks, external tracking, so they've got cameras set up above your heads. They've got usually Rifts inside these helmets, so you're wearing a helmet that kind of makes it okay if you bump into a wall, the headset bounces around your head a little bit instead of smacking you and hurting you. But you have to put on all this equipment in a Void or Dreamscape Immersive or a whole lot of arena scale projects
Usually
out
a
there.
big bulky rifle too, right?
Oh yeah, so all this massive amount of equipment to get into an experience, and because they're using the outside-in system, if you have 4 people or 6 people in a small area that are all like bunched together, and one person blocks the view to the cameras on the outside, suddenly you lose tracking, you lose where you are. Or maybe your arm goes wonky because the tracker that you've strapped to your wrist is blocked from view of the camera over there by your friend standing right here. And so your position looks weird, you get really uncomfortable because your arm isn't in the right position. It's terrible, it sucks. It's a huge problem for all of the location-based VR arcades out there. So when Facebook showed this amazing arcade demo in 2018, some devs had already been messing with arena scale ideas on Oculus Quest, and some were inspired by this demo to say, okay, it looks like Facebook is going to offer arena scale stuff. Well, it's a year and a half later, and there's been no real information. And the developer Interspace VR, of some incredible experiences out there, A Fisherman's Tale, the Doctor Who experience that we love so much. That's a beautiful little story of Doctor Who voiced by Jodie Whittaker, the actual Doctor.
Oh, that's the runaway one, right?
Yeah, the Runaway
Yeah.
one is just a beautiful
Yeah.
little story.
Is that the one that we did at SIGGRAPH?
I think so, yeah.
Is this
With the
is this
little like I don't watch Doctor Who, so like I
It's a
don't know
little
any of the
alien,
terms.
and you kind of
And it got angry and it made cute little noises if it got angry, and we'd be like,
Mhm.
and
This
then
is, so it's
Yeah.
different from the game, the full length game. It's
Edge of
just a
Time,
nice little story, and I think it's free. Is it free? Maybe he can
Mhm.
say in
the
the comments.
The Runaway one.
The
Yeah,
Runaway.
the Runaway's
Runaway's-
free. Runaway's
yeah,
free.
it's free.
Yeah. So I highly recommend checking that one out. That's done by Interspace VR.
So
They've also
are they working on another arena scale Quest experience then? Is what
they
you're
have
saying?
something called So they've got this thing called what's it called? Peach Garden or
I didn't know
getting the
this.
name wrong. But they've been working on one, and it's just a garden, a very serene garden experience that works in up to a 30-meter by 15-meter arena. I mean, that's a giant space where you and a whole bunch of other Quest users can explore this garden with, in a very serene way. And then, of course, we've also got Space Pirate Arena that we are dying to get our hands on and play. And that's
And
a
there's
sequel
There's
of
one.
sorts.
Sorry, just you can continue a second, but I'll be trying a new Quest one as well at PAX East from an indie team. It's unannounced at the moment, so I can't say anything else. But
So yeah, there's devs out there building these arena experiences, and it's a complicated situation where Facebook doesn't allow developers really access to the Quest cameras, and it makes a lot of sense because the Quest cameras can reveal a lot of personal information about your home. the Quest cameras are looking around your house. They can see things on your desks that you may not have thought about.
Storing floor plans of your house in the cloud
The
somewhere.
Rift S one time on a Hangouts conference call was running the camera, and I never gave it permission to do so. And like
remember
people
Nostos,
saw my floor.
Right? The Nostos thing where the camera activated.
Nostos ones, which is it's made by NetEase, right? And I was going through the Steam reviews, and some people were already having privacy concerns. And I was like, okay, well, I'll give it a try. For some weird reason, I turned it on. The first thing I saw was my entire room and my camera on Steam VR, and I was like, whoa, uninstall.
So there's extremely valid concerns around privacy in giving anyone access to the camera data, but what Facebook does is it processes that camera data and then uses it to provide your Guardian settings and tell you how far you're allowed to walk in space. And right now on Quest, it's limited to about 25 feet. I think I forget the conversion on meters. It's like 7 meters or something. In how far you can actually walk in a Quest without that blue wall coming up. And so developers really need some guidance there on what Facebook is going to allow via Guardian settings and shared locations, so that
although it is possible to turn off Guardian, just to be clear, like you could theoretically go to a field or a beach or a basketball court and you can turn off the Guardian. You wouldn't have access to the safety, but you can turn it off.
Comments?
I think Ian's wrong about the meter conversion, because 2 meters is roughly above 6 feet. Like Harry is just under 2 meters.
Correct. Yes,
tall. So it would be like 4
like
and some change.
4 and something. Yeah.
Ooh, hate to think about the change in those.
You're like
7.62. Thank you.
Okay.
Heaney God just told
feet or something.
Heaney God told us. You were right. Ian was right. I was wrong.
Long story long. Right before we came in here, I got an email from Facebook. That's the most
Ian thing you've ever said.
Right? Long story long.
Wow.
I got an email from Facebook right before I came in here explaining that there is some kind of policy that they are sending to developers now, and I'll go and look at my story and see what information needs to be added to that. But we should have that up by the time podcasters listen to this audio.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to when they allow us stair scale VR.
Stair scale.
You want to go upstairs?
Multi-level?
Yeah.
Like, he brings up a good point, because when we did in Vegas, no, you do, because when we did the Marvel Void thing in Vegas, you're like going down like this spiral like ramp thing, and it was so disorienting.
Wait, really?
To, like, be going like downwards on a slope, but
whenever you're going
on a highly of that in his review, but I didn't feel great.
Like
that. I feel like whenever something
you descended in VR in the void.
Yeah,
like you went down
like down like a spiral ramp.
Not physically.
It was a ramp.
Saying in the game you did, but not.
Well, we physically walked around, but it was a flat
but it's not
surface.
The physical thing is not.
But that's with stair scale VR. You make a good point. Like that is something that like. I don't know.
Multi-level.
Cool. Well, that's the whole reason we're talking about this now, right? It's like it comes down to personal risk and what Facebook are willing to.
This is your team.
You're right. This is my team. Did you try walking in the circle and then bending your knees to pretend like you're going down?
I just wanted.
You do that, Zuckerberg comes and chops your legs off.
It ain't bone works, all right? I don't want to have to pretend.
Yeah, that's not how bones work.
Yeah.
David, no.
Oh my god,
that's Jamie's joke.
Oh my god.
Anyway,
Jamie, no.
No one cares. Heaney God.
Heaney gave us information earlier. He
downstairs if you turn Guardian off.
I can't wait to have Heaney in here. It's gonna be weird when Heaney God is actually in physical, in
He'll
virtual
just be correcting
form.
us. And
I think the loudest I've ever screamed was when Heaney like showed up physically out of nowhere. When
he was right. He was right behind the camera, so no one could see him.
Absolutely terrifying.
There was an aura, like he put an aura around himself. So, anyway, we'll move on to our big hot topic discussion, which I guess we have 2 of this week because the arena scale conversation wasn't planned, but this one was planned. The big news of the week so far, which that we've kind of been shocked to find out about, is Sony surprisingly shut down their Manchester studio, which was opened in 2015. So I don't remember which month, but it's been almost 5 years.
Yep.
And they were working on a AAA PSVR game. That was confirmed. That's what they were hiring for. That's what Sony talked about. Everyone knew that's what they were working on. It's been almost 5 years. And the whole studio got shut down this week without even announcing what the game was. No title, no concept art, no nothing. So everyone's looking for jobs now. Everyone, got ejected from the studio. It's gone. So it's kind of surprising and kind of shocking. So I guess the question is, in addition to what were they working on, what happened, blah, 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 but also the bigger question is, do we think Sony is going to be committed to PSVR 2? Is this going to be another Vita situation, or is this going to be like, do they actually have the commitment and the drive to push VR forward more? Because PSVR 1 has sold, 6 million headsets?
Over 5 million.
5 million compared to 100 million PS4s. So, I mean, is that enough for them? Do they even want to push PSVR 2? What do we think? Are they?
I mean, it's a really interesting situation, right? Because you feel like, first of all, 5 million right now sort of makes them the market leader, right? So there is one sort of claim to fame. We assume, we don't really know how much Rift and Vive and whatnot have sold, but we assume it's not 5 million. The other thing to consider is, like, everyone said of like PSVR 1 and Rift 1 and Vive that it was like the PlayStation of like era, the original PlayStation era of VR, right? It was going to be the era that everyone was learning what to do, what makes a fun game, getting through the kind of design processes, introducing, a new medium to people in many, many ways. But, PlayStation, and to a lesser extent the N64, still went on to be incredibly popular consoles, right? They sold way, way more than 5 million units each. So I find it really hard to gauge how successful Sony really thinks PSVR is. But comments first.
Well, I want to disagree with one of our viewers here. Kev Gret said the Quest has certainly slowed down the PSVR's growth. I actually fully disagree with this. And I think, because if you really think about it, the Quest came out a little less than a year ago. We've already known that the PS5 is coming out, and I genuinely believe that the end of the development cycle for this console is actually what slowed down PSVR's growth.
Yeah.
And Shuei Yoshida, himself even said, like, what was it, Phil Spencer, that he kind of took a stab at, was like, we're developing for things nobody really wants. So I do believe that Sony is committed to PSVR 2. I just think it's going to take a while.
Yeah.
Because they want to learn, from their mistakes and what they can do better and their successes, and really look at the market and go, okay, how can we make this accessible, but also really good? Because the PSVR, its, fidelity wasn't really that great to begin with, right? Like, you could get better fidelity.
In 2016, it was pretty good, and now it's like, it's very hard.
So,
it's a very dated headset now.
I mean, my question,
so they really
is,
have to work on
it. Why shut down a studio that's been working on a game for 5 years, though?
Well, I just think the timing is so odd.
Yeah,
that's what I don't understand. Because it's like, if it's 5 years, then if they've been working on one thing, they must have been working on it they must have been working on something for PSVR 1. So either that was cancelled or it was switched to PSVR 2. If they make, like, there's so many weird.
Yeah, I guess that's the question, right? They've been working on a VR game, but was it always the same VR game? Did the original one get canceled and they're shifted to?
So another thing to think about too is it could have gone into development hell, and we don't know how many, what the turnover was. If you have a lot of turnover on one single project, it really messes up the entire project.
To your point, they have been hiring solidly for 5 years. They were always.
And it's weird too.
So
that's one of the producers. One of the producers just last week tweeted about how they're still excitedly hiring.
Yeah.
And then suddenly the studio got shut down. They were just had job listings.
Yeah, and this is a new studio, and there would have been a long on-ramping time. There would have been the time they wanted to scale when they finally decided what their project was going to be. So it might not necessarily be like a turnover thing. It could well be, but we don't know. I follow a few people from that studio, and obviously this is Twitter, and you're keeping up appearances, but they did seem happy and excited for what they were working on. And crucially, after they found out that they were that the studio was going to be closed, one of them tweeted that they were really looking forward to showing us what they were working on very soon. So it was probably a couple of months away from reveal, right? You've got to think.
Sony also really, like, how do I phrase this? They strive on their deadlines, right? So if they've been, how long have they been working on this? How many years?
5 years.
2 years been over 5 years.
That's a long
Yeah.
time to work on something and not announce something. Like playing devil's advocate here, being involved with the AAA industry, like. I can see Sony being like, you guys can't give us something presentable. It's been 5 years. That is a whole development cycle and some change.
5 years
like,
without even like a title or
that's what I'm
any
saying.
indication
Like
of anything. It's not even like
But
and it's nothing
I
against
go...
anyone that works there or anything.
It's a Sony-owned studio, though. I mean, can't they decide when to announce something and put pressure if they want?
Well, so I think that's kind of the thing. Let's go back to the core question here of whether Sony is committed to PSVR 2, right? They're in such an awkward position here where they're going to ship PS5 at the end of this year, and we really don't know what their plans are even for PSVR at that launch. And I think it's the PSVR did not launch alongside PS4, right?
No, 3 years later.
2.5, 3 years later.
That's brutal for both development and for adoption. You're telling a very large audience of people, here's an accessory for your thing that you've got to spend double to attach, and you've got a very complicated story for developers where you can use the Move controllers, you can use the gamepad, and that's a whole range of options again available to your buyers. That's hard to get the story right, and it looks like they could potentially repeat that with PS5 and PSVR 2, and that's not a great story to do. If that's the problem with adoption for PSVR 1, why would you repeat it with PSVR 2?
Well, I mean, it could always come down to they release it at a stunningly good price, but that doesn't seem likely if some of the things that have trickled down from R&D and stuff end up going into the headset. They've been talking about like optional wireless support, wider field of view, like double the pixel count in the display, HDR support. So it doesn't seem like this is going to be like a slouch of a device when it finally does come out, right? It's going to be a pretty nice, significant update over the original PSVR. So to your point, it doesn't seem like they could make it cheaper on that front.
But also to the point of the commenter from earlier, I can't remember who said it, but I mean, Quest does complicate things for them, right? I mean, previously when PSVR 1 came out, they were competing against headsets that required $1,000 PCs. Now they're competing against a headset that's $400 for the entire thing, platform, console included. So that is trickier because PS5 is going to come out. It'll be, I don't know, $400 or $500, and then you're going to need another $200-$300 for the headset. And now they're in the same territory as PC VR prices.
And realistically, I don't think anyone's ever going to be like, I want PSVR 2, so I'm going to buy a PS5 and a PSVR 2 at the same time, purely for the. It's not like it's something.
Their market is mostly existing PS5, PS4
people.
owners.
So exactly.
This then goes to the other side of the commitment thing, right? And Ian brought up really good points on the hardware side, but the other point is the software side, right? And that is something that this generation we have seen, I would say, good, if not incredible investment from Sony. And they had Astrobot, which was absolutely phenomenal.
Their library is incredible.
Yeah, the library is really, really good. It's probably got the best library of any headset. But if you think about, like, there was no God of War scale epic, there was no Spider-Man scale epic, for obviously for very, very good reasons. They can't justify spending that much money, development money, on something that only had like a 5 million install base, right? But so how from a software side this time around, if we're talking about a very similar situation problem-wise, hardware-wise, are they going to grow beyond 5 million this time, right? And I think the thing I was arguing, I think either this week or last week, is this time around you really have to supply the games, and it has to really, really stand on its own as a console. And that has to mean, the rumored Resident Evil 8, that has to mean full VR support for Gran Turismo 7, not just like the kind of like tacked on support they had last time around. That has to mean, that has to mean a bunch of things. That has to mean patching things up with Bethesda.
They own Insomniac now.
Yeah, I could see Stormland coming out like for PS5.
Yeah,
for
PS4 too. That's another thing. This console generation is going to be very, very different in terms of PC releases. Does that mean Oculus games do appear on PS5 at some point? Does that mean PSVR games come over at some point as well? That's another great point.
So I want to flip this around a little bit and just suggest that like I would love a really refined PSVR 1, right? Fix 360 tracking. You don't need to update the resolution extraordinarily, in my opinion. Like
I think
they
you do
really
at this
nailed
point.
it.
Yeah, you do.
I
The
do
screen
think-
door
I think
effects
it's a
drove
good-
me up the wall. On
When was the last time you used a PSVR, Ian?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like turning
If you-
around. Yeah.
If you compare it to
That's my
your index or even your Rift S, you'll notice the difference now. I promise.
Yeah,
I guess the reason I don't use it is the excuse is the turning around, but I suppose screen door sucks.
Yeah. I think, like this next year, it's such a weird thing. Again, to Ian's point, like it's going to be a crucial year for PlayStation, right? But is it a crucial year for VR? And if it's not, what does that say about their VR commitment? I think is the thing.
I want to go back to the theme of just unexpected partnerships that I keep thinking that we need to see in this year. Just unexpected relationships brewing for this next generation. But I don't understand why a Quest. We always wondered whether there would be a relationship with Rift on Xbox One,
Xbox,
right?
yeah.
Why
there
can't
was,
we
to an
see
extent.
Quest going to a PS5? I don't. Oculus Link makes that trivial.
It's a
True.
good point. It's a
I'd
very
never
good
even
point.
thought of that.
True.
But interesting.
But
Or Xbox too. Yeah, same thing can happen on Xbox with a USB 3. Assuming those are USB 3s on the new Xbox.
on the
I don't
the
think
hardware front,
there are.
That
They're not
Luke Dimmons didn't
USB-Cs.
have one.
Yeah.
They're not
USB,
Cs,
but you could use
they
it.
might
Yeah,
be
you could use an
3s.
adapter. Yeah,
Oh, true. It might be 3.0 like
Yeah.
a PC uses. Yeah.
that's what I use like on my computer now for Link. Use an adapter.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
on the hardware front, I do think there will be a fair bit more standardization this time around. I do think we'll get a new set of Move controllers that really do away with a lot of the PSVR issues. I do think there'll be
Maybe
another
they'll have
great set of.
analog sticks? Question
Let's
mark.
hope so. Let's hope so. It would be amazing if they didn't, wouldn't it? It would be
I,
absolutely
my
amazing.
God.
I forget they don't have analog sticks. Like
I
every time
don't.
Yeah, I know.
I haven't
can't.
used it. I haven't used it enough to like.
Yeah.
But when I
For
remember,
me,
I'm like,
anytime
oh,
I think
that's like,
of anytime I think of a VR game on PSVR, if it's also on PC VR, my mind struggles to understand like what Olympic level heights that developer had to go to try to get it to function on a Move controller. Like
yeah,
I still can't even believe that I was able to legitimately play Borderlands 2 using a Move controller, holding it, pulling the trigger to move like a tank and go like this to move
Yeah, it's
around the
awful.
world.
Yeah.
Like it's
a bad
I mean, you
situation.
can get used to it, and you're gonna have some PSVR diehard, tryhard people probably in the comments that are angry, saying, "Oh, you get used to it, it's fine. You just no, there's no excuse. It sucks, and I'll admit
It should have
the
changed. It
games
should have
can
changed
be-
for sure.
Yeah.
Let's say
It's funny
they
if you look at
improve
what
them.
Valve did with the Knuckles controllers, right? The Knuckles controllers did not have analog sticks on them for like 2 years or something. It was
Neither did Quest when they're prototyping.
Neither did
it.
Quest. Yeah.
Yeah.
Santa Cruz didn't have analog
Had
sticks.
trackpads.
and they both broke around. They both broke, and like, okay, we've heard from enough people. Let's add them.
And then
Yeah.
shout out to HTC for not making a decision and putting both on there. Or wait, no, it was Windows. Microsoft
Windows,
was
yeah.
at
Wait,
once,
Knuckles,
yeah.
but Knuckles has a
Sorry.
trackpad as well, so they did both.
Sorry.
Them
Did they?
too.
Yeah, they have the little
the
thumb
thing in the middle
thumb
of the knuckle.
groove.
little thing. Yeah,
Oh, okay. Yeah, the
the
Windows
other-
ones have the full trackpad and the stick. It's really weird.
The little thumb pad makes compatibility with the Vive ones. It allows you to do like the right side, left side, top side, bottom side thing that the
Yeah, that
The
never
Vive
translates
ones
to a
does.
stick perfectly.
The other big thing about Sony's commitment to PSVR is how much do they see just releasing PS5 and allowing VR developers to patch their existing games to PS5 titles where they're no longer held back by the problems of the PS4? How much of that do they count on getting them through the next generation, right? Because I feel like with something like No Man's Sky, quite blurry in PSVR, they made it a lot better, but it's going to hopefully feel like a whole new game. First of all, when you play it on PS5 with your existing headset, and then especially when the new headset comes out, right? Like that.
Yeah.
I feel like the more games you don't play on PSVR now, you're just kind of saving for PSVR 2.
That's an excellent point. Like if you're talking bang for your buck, they could pay very small amounts, relatively speaking, to a very large number of VR developers, and just say, hey, build an expansion for PS5, build a new updated version for PS5. Don't rebuild everything and really anchor the next year of PSVR with a lot of
especially if
new
those
content
games
for
have already
existing
came
stuff.
out on PC VR. I feel like for those devs, it would. I mean, I'm not a developer. I know it's not as easy as clicking a button, but I'm sure it would be much easier than porting a whole new thing that doesn't exist yet on the platform.
Yeah. What I think is interesting too about the whole like kind of software aspect is like you think about what was my now I've lost my train of thought. It's gone.
Oh no. Do you have green eyes in real life? I've been meaning to ask.
I think so.
You think so?
He's colorblind.
Not really too sure.
Oh, that's
the one that
messed
trips me up.
No,
I'm
he
sorry.
is.
I think they're green.
I don't
didn't
remember.
It's such a tough subject. Yeah.
It's difficult.
I don't think I can think of anything more Inception level than a colorblind person trying to work out what color their eyes are. I'm sorry, Harry. I don't know if this is me.
There was like a 10-year period. Where
I give
I was
him
like 12,
crap
and
about
I was
it all
like,
the time.
I was like, hang on, what color are my eyes? It never occurred to me. When someone was once like, what color are your eyes? I'm like, I really don't know.
I was gonna ask you why you're wearing a green denim jacket, but I just had to.
Yeah, all right, very funny. It's not that bad.
What color is the desk?
Oh.
Maroon.
Oh, okay.
That's actually
it's not
quite
listen,
accurate. Oh my god, he's cured. VR is cured.
VR is cured, and that's right.
Do we have any comments?
Doctors hate
any super insightful questions or comments from the Scots?
People are just kind of going off about PSVR and sales numbers.
I hear Scott bought PSVR 2 already. Such a slimy Scott, whichever one of you
he found it in a Walmart.
Just sitting there on the shelves. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Canada, man.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No, that was Maryland. Canada was the Amazon one.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There you go.
This is
Jeez.
Sorry, I don't know.
Leave it to the
to
Brit
places
to mess things up.
Yeah. Anyway, PSVR 2, still very, very excited. I am like, I was following that studio with a lot of enthusiasm. I thought they were going to come up. I thought 5 years developing something they're calling AAA. I can't wait to see what they're working on.
You wrote that story at like 1 a.m, broken hearted and crying, didn't you?
Yeah, basically. I actually did write that in bed just before I went to sleep. Like, oh, this is such a shame.
But then he didn't sleep. He was just crying all night.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
I think I would say we, but you were assuming that it was potentially that rumored Horizon Zero Dawn VR game.
Yeah, I don't want to lend too much credibility to that rumor, but there is a rumor that a Horizon Zero Dawn VR game is being made, and in my mind, if I would imagine Sony London have maybe moved on to Blood and Truth 2, right? Again, this is all completely speculation, and also if it was that Horizon thing, it would be such early days past the original Blood and Truth. I don't see how it could have been discovered, if you will. But yeah,
what I'm wondering is if the game was this far along, right? Theoretically, even if they switched work to a different title, whatever they were working on had 2 to 3 plus years of development time. Maybe Sony shut down the studio and just shifted the project to a different team. Maybe that's what happened.
The other interesting point is Sony does have a fairly recent history with closing down studios in the UK. So Sony Liverpool is gone. They made Wipeout. Evolution Studios, who made Motorstorm, they're gone as well. These were in the past, must be like 5 years. Yeah, Sony Cambridge is gone, and again, just after they released the VR game, Evolution just released the VR game. Sony Liverpool released a game that would become VR with Wipeout, and then the kind of rumor was that once the new PlayStation CEO Jim Ryan came on board, actually a lot of people in the Sony London offices, not the developer, but like the kind of admin side of it, they lost their jobs as well. So there is. I don't know if it's Brexit or anything like that, but
I was actually going to ask you if you think that's an issue, but I was afraid to say because if you have people from other countries working in these studios, Brexit just made it really, really, really complicated to actually keep them employed.
Yep, that's true.
Although the processes are just insane.
technically not for like another year because we're still in the transition year. I don't want to go into this too much, but like I do, like Sony still has 2 massive offices in central London. So there is still very much a big PlayStation presence in the UK, but it is, a kind of unwelcome trend that Sony's not big on the UK right now.
Okay. Well, I think that was a pretty insightful conversation there. Hopefully, commenters and viewers and listeners enjoyed listening to our pontifications about PSVR 2. That was a $5 word right there.
All right, serious.
So what we're going to do now is transition to the end of the show. We're going to go over a little housekeeping items for you guys. Are there any upcoming videos that people should look forward to, Jamie, that Xena could be working on potentially?
We might have a very flashy trailer for what we all do at Upload soon, which would be nice.
Ooh.
Just in case you've never heard of Upload VR, which is the website we all work from, or for even. Xena is working on a trailer that will kind of encapsulate, if that's the right word, all of that in a nice flashy package, which might have reference to a funny joke that we referenced earlier from Ian about a dragon and some vomiting. I don't know. Undecided if that's going to be in there yet. I think.
Yeah. If you didn't know, you should listen to this show or watch this show with a Google tab open and ready to go to dictionary.com. And
whose Google Home just went off?
That was me. That was me. Yeah, that was me.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
No.
So other housekeeping items. We are back to live streaming games here on our YouTube channel. So if you missed it yesterday, we live streamed Zero Caliber, which is a VR shooter. We're going to start doing those every Wednesday for sure, as well as probably Mondays and Fridays every now and then, depending on schedules for that week. I'll be joined by other members of the team to help me out with chat sometimes. Like yesterday, Harry hopped in and helped moderate and chat with me while I was shooting down the bad guys.
So did I.
But yes,
I did too.
Yesterday.
Thank you very much.
I mean, in the comments.
Oh, you were in the comments. That's right. You got into
I came in the comments.
Doesn't really count.
Yeah.
You know,
I helped out.
Yeah, you challenged someone to fight you, and then they said they would, and you backed down.
Yeah, that was about your
what is happening? Do I need to pay attention to the streams? You guys are fighting?
This is my team, all right? I will handle my team.
Yeah.
You handle.
It was your stream.
I called
Jamie threatened a commenter?
I told him he was a coward, and he called my
Scott gave us another $2. He said,
thank you guys.
phones off.
Thank you.
But I think it's a Google. Is it your phone or is it a Google Home?
It's a home. Yeah.
Oh, it's a home.
It's on my desk, so there's nothing I can really do about it.
Clearly got
Throw it out the window.
Got money to burn after buying the Valve Index 2, hasn't he, old Scott?
He's already got it.
Other housekeeping items, make sure you tune in every Friday on our YouTube channel for the VR Recap, our weekly recap show that kind of condenses all the things that we talked about here into like a 2 to 3 minute video. We also do weekly giveaways for game codes and keys on
Oh, that's a good point. Mental note. Arrange a giveaway for the week. Thank you, David.
Where'd your
yeah.
Your hand
also, just
that was
obviously check uploadvr.com for all the latest VR news, reviews, interviews, and all that good stuff. And thank you all so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the show, whether you were on YouTube or big screen, wherever you're watching, whenever you're watching. I thank you. And also our audio listeners on Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes. Subscribe to us here on YouTube. Hit the like button, all that good stuff. You know what to do.
I just saw Ian's hand flop. Scott gave us another $5. Thanks to you, Scott.
Oh, thanks, Scott.
Make it rain. Everyone do the make it rain. Everyone.
I'm blushing.
Well, Ian threw his
I threw my hands. I'm giving the thumbs up here, but there's no hand tracking.
All right, I'm going to head out.
You don't matter. Yep. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you in the future.
Bye.